LSU is going to be heading on the road to Gainesville to take on the number 10th ranked Florida Gators this weekend. This game is going to be on ESPN with a 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Now, for Florida, you suffered a loss to Texas A&M last weekend, 41-38. Now, initially, I picked Florida with the victory in my prediction video, but I said that I would not be surprised if Texas A&M was able to pull off the upset. And the reason why I said that was because simply I did not trust Florida's defense. And I felt like if Florida would lose the game, it would be because of their defense not performing well. And that ended up happening. I mean, Texas A&M was able to do whatever they wanted to do on offense. I mean, they were really good throwing the football with Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond actually had one of the best games of his college career at Texas A&M. He was really good throwing the football. Made a lot of big plays on third down for Texas A&M to keep the drives going. And the running game for Texas A&M was really good. Florida could not stop the run game to save their life. And despite the fact that Florida's offense played fairly well, I mean, Texas A&M was able to get a couple of key stops, and all they needed was the ball back, and Florida's defense couldn't do nothing to stop them. So you got LSU, on the other hand, that's suffering from similar struggles on the defense side of football like Florida. I mean, they lost to Missouri 45-41, and their defense played as bad as you can play. Okay, so I mean, going into this game, the question is going to be which team's defense is actually going to be able to show up. If any one of these two teams' defenses even shows up anyway, and I mean, if they do, I mean, which team is going to win the turnover battle? Because anytime you have two teams that have two bad defenses, it all comes down to which team is going to be able to get the key turnovers or which team is going to be able to get the key stop. Okay, so I mean, whoever wins the turnover battle in this game is most likely going to end up being the victor. So if whoever wins this game is +2 in the turnover margin, they're most likely going to end up winning this game. So whichever team wins the turnover battle is most likely going to end up winning this game. Also, which team will be able to stop the run? Now, Florida couldn't stop the run to save their life last week against Texas A&M. I mean, Texas A&M was running the ball down their throats. And for LSU, man, like, I question their ability to not only stop the pass, but if they can even stop the run as well. So, I mean, who can stop the run game? Because the run game is going to be really important in this game because, listen, if you have two teams that have two bad defenses, if you're able to get one stop and you're able to run the football, control time possession, and keep the other team's offense off the field, you're going to be in a really good position to win the game. So, I mean, stop the run game is going to be really critical for either one of these teams. Now, I feel like Florida is the better running team going into this game than what LSU is because I don't really think LSU has really been all that great running the football this season so far. Now, Florida does have the ability to run the football. I just don't think they really take advantage of it because they're so potent throwing the football through the air with Kyle Trask and all these talented wide receivers that they have. But Florida can run the football if they need to. So, I mean, whichever team is able to run the football, I think they're going to also be at the advantage as well because they're going to be able to control time possession and keep the other team's offense off the field. And also for LSU, can you limit the big plays in the passing game for Florida? Because Florida has a really explosive offense. I mean, you got guys who can just get big plays out of the butt, like Kadarius Toney, for example. He had a big play against Texas A&M. So, I mean, when it comes to beating Florida in this high-powered offense of Florida, you have to be able to keep everything in front of you because you don't want any of these wide receivers breaking off like a 50-yard touchdown, things like that. Because these wide receivers from Florida, if they get the ball in their hands, they're a threat to take it to the house every single time. So, for LSU, also, how are you going to stop tight end Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts has been the best player in college football, in my opinion. I mean, when this dude gets in the red zone, he's doggone near unstoppable to stop. And when you look at how LSU's defense has played, I mean, if you want to win this game, you got to take away Kyle Pitts. Now, even if you do take away Kyle Pitts, you got other players at that wide receiver position that you have to worry about stopping. But I mean, Kyle Pitts is the best player on this Florida offense. This is who they want to give the ball to, especially in the red zone. If you take away Kyle Pitts in the red zone, then you're going to force Kyle Trask to find other players to throw the football to. So I think it's really important that LSU tries to find a way to take Kyle Trask away in this game. And if they can't take him away completely, at least be able to stop him in the red zone because this dude has been a monster in the red zone. So, I mean, pretty much he has scored the majority of Florida's offensive touchdowns when they get inside the 20. So I think it's really important that they try to find a way to take away Kyle Pitts, especially in the red zone. Like, let him do whatever he does, but once you get inside the red zone, triple team him, quadruple team him, do whatever you have to do to make sure that he doesn't beat you when your team gets inside the 20. Now, for Florida, on the other hand, I mean, with the way their defense has played, are you going to be able to stop wide receiver Terrace Marshall? That's going to be another question, because Terrace Marshall went off against Missouri last week, and he is pretty much LSU's best player that they have on the offensive side of football. Now, I just got off the phone with one of my friends. He is a Florida Gator fan, and I was asking him, I said, hey, what does Florida have to do to win this game? And the first thing he said was that Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator for Florida, needs to get better at calling the plays on defense, because a lot of his play calling has been a little bit too, a lot of his play calling has been a little bit questionable at times, and sometimes he feels like Todd Grantham gets a little bit too cute, which I will agree with. Now, for Florida, you have a couple of key guys coming back on the defense side of football, which is well needed. You got Kyrie Campbell, and you got another guy coming back, Chris Bogey, I believe his name is. So, I mean, with those two guys back, hopefully that helps improve the Florida defense. And also, can Florida get a pass rush? Because Florida's pass rush hasn't been great at all. I mean, you lost Jonathan Greenyard and Jabari Zuniga to the NFL in this past year's NFL draft, and it doesn't really look like Florida has any guys who are going to be able to step in and replace those guys so far. So, I mean, Florida, you really have to be able to get pressure on Miles Brennan if you want to win this game. And the same thing can be said for LSU as well. So, I mean, both these two teams, it's all going to come down to which team's defense is going to be able to get off the field on third down, because LSU's defense wasn't good on third down against Missouri last week, and Florida wasn't good on third down, neither against Texas A&M. I believe Texas A&M was pretty much really good on third down. Like, Kalen Mond played really well on third down. So, I mean, for both these two teams, man, I mean, it's all going to come down to which team's defense is going to be able to get the big play or get the big turnover that matters the most when the game is on the line. And, I mean, it's really weird, because this is kind of like a preview of a Big 12 game, because in the Big 12, you normally see a lot of offense, not a lot of defense, but this is the SEC we're talking about here. And I know that LSU lost a good amount of talent to the NFL draft, but I didn't expect that their defense would have this big of a drop-off this year. And for Florida, like, also the same thing for them, man. So, I mean, really, both of these two teams need to try to find their identities on defense and get this thing taken care of. So, I'm going to end up taking Florida to win this game. I think Florida should bounce back. I think Florida is the better team than LSU going into this game. And although LSU is pretty good offensively, I just think that Florida's defense, even if they don't show up, they should be able to get a couple of big turnovers when it matters the most. And for LSU's defense, man, I think that LSU's defense is worse than Florida's defense, because with Florida, I mean, you can blame it on injuries, okay? Now, I know LSU has a couple of guys who are pretty banged up as well, but I mean, for LSU, man, their defense has played a lot worse than Florida's defense has played so far this season. And I know they're pretty evenly matched, but I do think that Florida's defense gets a slight edge over LSU's defense, because I believe if Florida would have played Missouri last week, I don't think they would have gave up 40 points to Missouri. So, I mean, I think Florida's defense gets a slight edge in this game. I think Florida is the better team than LSU going in, and I'm going to take Florida to get this victory here. I think that Dan Mullen and Florida bounces back from that loss they suffered to the hands of Texas A&M, and really, they were really close to winning that game as well. So, I mean, when you look at LSU right now, LSU is kind of reeling right now. I think their defense has a lot more room for improvement than what Florida's defense needs to do. And for Florida, another thing is Marco Wilson. Like, what the hell is going on with him? Like, Marco Wilson has not played good this year. He's going to have to step up his game against LSU if they want to win this game. So, I mean, for Florida, I think they win this game 42-34 is my final score prediction in this game. I think this is going to be a pretty high scoring game. I don't really think we're going to see a lot of defense at all, but I do think that Florida's defense is slightly better than LSU's defense. I think that Florida should be able to get a couple of turnovers, maybe a turnover or two to win this game, and maybe a big stop on third down to get the ball back to their offense. And I think that that's all they really need to do to win this game here, because I don't think LSU's defense is going to stop the bleeding at all. And I think Florida should be able to pick up this victory here. Give me Florida for the victory.